Have you ever felt like the world was rushing past you too loud, too fast, and somehow you were missing the moment? Ever wanted to scream your soul into the air and found you couldn't? What if your most powerful voice came not from sound, but from silence? I'm Ludwig van Beethoven, and this isn't just a story about music, it's about breaking and becoming. I was born in Bonn in 1770. The city was small, gray, full of cobbled streets and duty. My father was a singer for the court and a tyrant at home. He wanted to raise a genius. Mozart was the god of the time and I was supposed to follow. So he made me practice through the night, tears soaked into ivory keys. He'd hit the wrong notes out of me. My childhood wasn't melody, it was noise, it was punishment, but something inside me clung to sound, not just notes, but meaning. Music became not an escape, but resistance. By 16, I was supporting my family through music. By 17, I played for Mozart. He barely spoke, but he looked at me and said, "This young man will make noise in the world." Those words lit a fire that never left. I moved to Vienna, where art was luxury. Composers were showpieces, dinner entertainment. But I couldn't smile and play politely. I stormed. I roared. People said I played piano like I was wrestling fate, even when my hands bled. Even when my compositions were mocked, I kept creating. Then, slowly, a whisper faded, not a metaphor, a literal whisper. The high notes disappeared. Birdsong turned into memory. I thought it was illness, temporary. I avoided doctors, pretended, until one day a violinist friend played beside me in a cafe. I saw his bow move, but heard nothing. That silence slammed into me harder than any chord ever had. I was 28 and going deaf. Deaf, not as a joke, as a sentence. Imagine your life revolves around sound and it drains away. I felt myself unravel. I stopped attending parties, stood at the edge of rooms, unable to follow conversations. The world became distant, like I was underwater. I wrote a letter to my brothers, never sent, a document of despair. In it, I confessed my fear, my shame, admitted I'd thought about ending it all. But then, something strange happened. I stopped listening to the world and started listening to what was inside me. The rage, the longing, the visions. I began composing from memory, from imagination. People said, "How can you write music you can't hear?" I smiled, because I did hear it, not in the air, in the bones. Music was no longer entertainment, it was identity. The Fifth Symphony, that da-da-da-dum, that wasn't melody, that was fate pounding on my door. I wasn't being poetic, I meant it. Every note I wrote from that point on was rebellion. They called my music chaotic, wild, too raw, good. I wasn't writing to please. I was writing to break chains. I didn't care for elegance. I cared for truth. I created in silence. And in that silence, I found my voice. But silence wasn't just an obstacle. It was a medium, a canvas. I began listening to rhythm as memory, harmony as hope, cadence as heartbeat. There was no more audience I had to impress, only a truth I had to honor. Sometimes I sat for hours staring at blank paper, feeling vibrations from past performances, not echoes. imprints. Each time I touched the piano, I was reminded the absence of sound isn't the absence of meaning. They said, "You're too radical. Your harmonies don't follow rules. You distort beauty." I didn't care. Beauty to me wasn't symmetry. It was struggle. If a chord didn't bleed, it didn't matter. Art must bruise. It must dig. When I wrote the Ode to Joy, I had not known peace, but I had seen glimpses of transcendence, the kind that rises from ashes, not comfort. That piece wasn't just notes, it was defiance. A hymn for those who scream inwardly, yet still walk forward. I couldn't hear its premiere, but I saw it land on hearts, saw tears, saw stillness. That was sound enough. Now let me speak to you, not as a composer, but as a human. You who feel broken, who carry childhood wounds, who fear your dreams are fading before they're born. Your cracks are not failure, they are windows. Your silence is not emptiness, it is space waiting for truth. Don't sculpt your soul to fit expectations, distort the frame, crush the mold. I never married, never held children of my own, but I spoke to generations, not with sermons, but with sonatas. And if you think your voice doesn't matter, let me tell you this, the world doesn't change by volume. It changes by resonance. Find your note. Strike it boldly. Repeat it until the air remembers. You will be misunderstood. You will be laughed at. So was I. But when you offer honesty, the universe leans closer. One day, I stood in the theater, conducting with wild gestures. I couldn't hear the clapping, but I saw faces lit with something holy. I knew then. Silence had done its work. My friends turned me toward the audience. That moment, sight over sound, was one of my greatest concerts. I lost my hearing, but I found deeper perception. I lost society, but I found solitude's wisdom. I lost decorum, but I found freedom. And you? You might lose what you thought was essential, but discover what's eternal. I composed through storms, through heartbreak, through doubt, and somehow I left behind joy, not the joy of ease, the joy of endurance. So, don't let quiet fool you. It may be your loudest gift. Let your story rise from fractures. Let your truth be dissonant, then resolved. And when you feel alone in your silence, remember me. I lived in that silence. I built symphonies in it. Thank you for listening. If anything I shared made you feel less alone, then every note, every tear, every tremble was worth it. This is my message. Ludwig van Beethoven.